Before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, Summoner's War. Summoner's War is an action-packed fantasy turn-based RPG with over 100 million players around the world. Now, what I personally like about this game is that there are weekly in-game events and a global PvP arena where you can real-time battle with other users worldwide. Right now, Summoner's War is celebrating their 6th anniversary by giving away 100 free summons. This game's absolutely free to download, so scroll down to the description box and click on the link to download it. I think at this point, there are a lot of content creators out there talking about the newest and hottest anime in town. Here's the thing though, newer shows tend to run for shorter episode runs, and an anime having 100 episodes or more has become a lost art. It's not for me to say whether the new model is strictly better or not, but let's just say a lot of people are discouraged by a high episode count due to a massive time investment. Now, we all seem to have a lot of time on our hands now, don't we? So why don't we start talking about the longer shows? Let's face it, that juicy little backlog you have in your computer is looking more and more appetizing now, isn't it? Yeah? With the amount of time that we have, how about using this time to start watching those long series that everyone's been talking about? So for today's video, we'll have something a bit different. We'll be going through some of the best long-running anime you can binge watch while you're stuck at home, specifically shows which have more than 100 episodes. Without further ado, let's start with the list. I'm not sure if I cheated by compiling the entire Monogatari series as one entity, but it is what it is, isn't it? Monogatari is a story about Koyomi Araragi and his experiences with several people who fell victim to problems caused by oddities, a fancy way of saying Shinto spirits. In contrast to what you'd typically expect out of a series like this, the oddities are typically not dealt with through fighting. A representation of a character's innermost desires and flaws, the oddities are dealt with by coming to terms with said flaws, something which Koyomi helps the numerous characters do. That's not to say that Monogatari is entirely devoid of action. I've featured some of the most notable fights and character scenes in several previous videos, and that's more of a testament to how well the series weaves high-octane action scenes with its dialogue and character building. Keep in mind, this is one of those stories which isn't told in chronological order, so people do keep on asking in what order should I watch these series. Now, to that I'd say just stick to the released order or just pause the video and take a screenshot of this. Overall, Monogatari is one of the best series that you can watch when it comes to modern anime. Despite appearing to have cliched characters, the series does do a good job at subverting expectations and developing some of the most fascinating characters with clever dialogue and plot progression. Next up on the list, we have a pretty old school classic. It's Bleach. Bleach tells the story of Ichigo Kurosaki, a tough, no-nonsense high school student who has the ability to see ghosts. His life takes a steep turn one fateful night when he meets Rukia Kuchiki. Introducing herself as a soul reaper, Rukia shows Ichigo the world of souls and the dangers that lie within, including hollows that prey on human souls. Rukia herself gets put in danger against one such hollow while protecting Ichigo's family. In his desire to protect Rukia and his family, Ichigo takes up the mantle of being the substitute soul reaper. Taking in Rukia's powers, a new hero is born and the rest is history. Challenging enemies, new friends and foes, and more mysteries of Ichigo's birth and origins await in this long-winded supernatural action series. Bleach is one of the more popular anime that took the world by storm in the 2000s. I personally like the show's powers and aesthetics more than its peers, and I think that Ichigo is a great protagonist as far as style and coolness go. Despite its notoriety with filler arcs, Bleach does have some really immersive ones, including the Zanpakuto arc and the Rare Guy arc. If fan service and modern anime tropes aren't for you, then maybe you could go for a more gritty and hot-blooded show. For the next entry on the list, may I introduce to you Hajime no Ippo. Introverted and soft-spoken, Ippo doesn't have a lot of things to look forward to in life. Perpetually bullied, his fate would take a turn for the better once he meets professional boxer Takamura, who gets encouraged at seeing his powerful punch. Having a new goal in life, Ippo joins the world of boxing in his bid to become a champion and discover the true meaning of strength. An oldie but goodie, Hajime no Ippo ought to bring out the hot blood in you in its epic showdowns and characters worth cheering for. It's one of the pioneers and best examples of sports anime through and through. Another good thing about it is that you don't need a lot of knowledge about sports and boxing to enjoy it. If you're someone who enjoys and wants to see some of the most intense and climactic anime fights, Hajime no Ippo would be a welcome addition to your watch list. There's no better time to join Ippo's long-winded journey to reach the top than the present. Before Bleach was a thing, there was a show called Yu Yu Hakusho, starring a delinquent who gets an unexpected one-way trip to the spirit world. You can clearly see some elements that have become a staple in supernatural shows in modern times. The numerous arcs all serve to showcase Togashi's genius even before he went on to write his arguably better work, Hunter x Hunter. As for Yu Yu Hakusho, I love the creativity being put on display through the different powers, narrative structures, and character writing. The fights are especially good, and its multiple episode run will surely take you through twists and turns that you won't regret experiencing. It's an all-round great series that was a lot bigger back in the 90s and was somewhere around on par with Dragon Ball, well, at least in Japan anyway. I'd say aged quite decently, and it's never too late to start on. After all, it was one of the best-selling titles back then, and deservingly so. A perennial favorite of the ones watching anime in the 2000s, Naruto has since lived on with an underwhelming sequel, Boruto. But as far as the original one is concerned, it's carved out a pretty nice legacy for itself, don't you think? I think so. Many fans have grown up watching and following Naruto's journey to becoming Hokage and a hero that everyone looks up to. Being an outcast and a general loser, those dreams seem to be light years away for our plucky ninja. However, this is one guy who never knows when to quit and give up. Despite all the challenges in his way, he surely finds a way to get to the top. The notorious amount of fillers might bum you out a little bit, but once again, you can always skip through those. Overall, Naruto as a series is a long and great journey revolving around friendship, redemption, and forgiveness. A list of long runners definitely wouldn't be complete without One Piece, possibly the definition of a long runner for most anime fans. Spanning over 2 decades already, One Piece has remained strong and continues to assert its dominance over much of the Shounen fandom to this day. How does it do so? With an open world that's ripe for adventure. Luffy's adventure in search of One Piece has taken him through all kinds of places in the high seas in numerous adventures and battles. The One Piece world is cleverly designed for such a long narrative, and thanks to Oda's writing style and creativity, the series just doesn't seem to get old. One Piece is home to all sorts of characters that are a pleasure to me to know, as well as some of the most memorable heroes and villains in anime history. I won't mince my words. Even though One Piece is probably my personal favorite shonen manga of all time, the anime does drop a few places due to some issues like poor pacing, in-canon fillers, and inconsistent animation. One Piece is truly a daunting anime to tackle if you're looking for a catch-up trip, but as they say, the adventure or the journey is its own reward. Meme lords will love this next entry. In terms of sheer over-the-top content, I'd say that it's practically impossible to top JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. A franchise that started in the late 80s and is still going strong today, the fights and characters are so crazy and over the top that people have grown enamored of the series, especially in the fight sequences. Nothing's too crazy or out of the world for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to the point of ridiculousness, and not in a bad way. I mean, look at the art style and powers alone. Doesn't that scream meme material for you? The jokes and fun discussions just write themselves at this point. There are loads of things to draw you into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and since you've got the time right now, why don't you start off from the very beginning? It's never too late to join in on the fun. Among the numerous anime that have more than 100 episodes, Gintama is probably one of the more unique ones. It's unique in a sense that it's one of the shows that can seemingly go 180 at will. Others would have the impression that the show's really comedy-focused with its previews and hook. However, once you get to the meat of the story, Gintama can suddenly do an about-face and throw a serious and emotional arc at us. I think it's this amazing part of Gintama that sets it apart from a lot of other shonen titles. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but when it does, you better watch out. Gintoki and the rest of the Yorozuya all have captivating stories to tell, and all those arcs slowly build up to a satisfying conclusion at the end of over 300 episodes. If the 300 plus episodes aren't enough for you, there are also a couple of movies that will be fun to watch as well. Honestly, if you're new to the world of anime, I wouldn't recommend watching Gintama yet, as it does have a lot of references and parodies from dozens of other shows which you may not pick up during the first watch. But overall, Gintama's a flawlessly executed series with a great blend of comedy, action, and emotion, which has cemented itself as one of my favorite anime of all time. If you ask some of the most ardent shonen fans online what the best shonen anime is, I'm sure that a lot of them would point you to Togashi's masterpiece, Hunter x Hunter, and for good reason too. Hunter x Hunter is a series that's connected with multiple generations of fans. You don't just connect with the multiple generations for nothing. Despite all the memes and jokes about its numerous hiatuses, Hunter x Hunter proves to be one of the best in world building and character development. Through its numerous genre shifts and creative ways in trying out different formulas, the series has come up with some of the best characters and story arcs in shonen history. With a great cast of characters, action, and consistently great animation, Hunter x Hunter will remain a tale for anyone to enjoy. Don't find the large episode count daunting in any way, because the journey will definitely be worth it. Now that's a lot of shows for you to sink your time into. Hell, you might even have all the time in the world and still not be able to finish some of these in a short time. Tell me which one you're going to watch during a long break. If there are any other long runners that you'd recommend, then I want to hear from you too. Now, if you enjoy content like this, make sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit the bell button so you can get the first updates for new videos. Don't forget to check out our sponsors game, Summoner's War. Links in the description. By downloading, you'll be really helping this channel out, and you'll be playing a great game for free. I'll see you next time on ViniiTube.